Welcome back to ASHEBORO Undecided, and welcome to Mighty March 2023. This is kind of like a campaign that we started as a record label many years ago, Mightier Than the Sword Records. We would focus Mighty March, Mighty May on our artists past and present, and we are continuing that tradition this year on ASHEBORO Undecided. So today, episode 6 of season 1, you're going to have an interview with me. So SHAD and Marshall sat down and talked with me about triple bypass extraction. Then next week, you're going to hear from Marshall Alexander as our guest. And then the following week, the last week of March, you're going to have Blaze Belushi as our guest. So really excited about that to kind of showcase us again. And last month was Brueilly, so we did a little bit with that. Went to California, to Hollywood, and really got to represent my art in that form. So really excited to keep this going. This is a little bit different today. We're going to break a video, which means it's going to be a premiere for my music video called GTFOH Part 2. We shot it at Flatiron in Greensboro, downtown Greensboro. So this is the first time you're going to see, anybody's going to see it except for me and Brian Staples, who shot and edited. So right now, you're going to see that first. It's going to be released later this month, probably towards the end of the month. So you're seeing that first. And also, we're going to have some music breaks directed towards the extraction. So that we're excited about that. We're excited about Marshall Alexander and Blaze Belushi to show you guys kind of what Mightier Than the Sword Records is kind of currently at the current state. And we appreciate you for listening or watching. Please subscribe, comment, share, do what you can to help us. If you support us and you believe in this vision, consider donation, consider sponsorships, talk to me if you need to. There's many ways that you can help. So with that being said, I want to remind you guys, or actually tell you guys first and foremost, that Common Grounds in downtown Greensboro, every second and fourth Monday of the month, there is a open mic available for anybody that wants to get out there and speak, sing, rap, spoken word, anything. There's a band that's backing you, 7 minutes with the band or 2 songs. My good friend, business partner Eddie Ruger is spearheading that. Please look into that. We're going to remind you guys every episode from here on out. Do want to give a shout out before we start this show to Jonathan Coleman of the Media Blast PR, Active Zone Gaming, and Amazed Events Planning. Thank you guys so much for being our top tier sponsors to help me get out to LA last month and win that award and bring that home to ASHEBORO. Thank you guys again so much for watching and listening, and enjoy the show.
Crap. Yeah.
I mean, they really kind of.
They actually admitted that they messed up big time.
Somebody took the L for it, but.
So the last one I watched was the 7th in the series. The first new one.
Switch up.
Yeah.
I guess.
I'm the guest now.
I know.
It's time now.
Yeah.
We starting again?
Yeah, we're a little behind.
Sorry, mate. We're a little bit behind. We'll try to.
Shoot, man. It's all right.
Try to get through this. We can either get through this or save it and
die trying.
Yeah. We'll just see what we get through.
Yeah, I think we can do it.
All right.
Tell me when we're ready.
We're gonna get we're getting a clapper too. We're gonna get a clapper.
All right, get a clapper.
Yeah, it's all on camera B, man.
Camera B, man.
Yeah.
You just give us a countdown, camera B, man.
If I can get it to record. Oh, that's right. I got it now.
Yeah.
Get this in focus.
Jeff, man, it's you gotta say bless his heart,
Yeah,
We are in North Carolina.
We should be good to go. So
It's a good clapper. All right, we're here with Ty Brew, and we're talking about triple bypass extraction. And Ty, I'm going to open this up with a question I've always wanted the answer to. Are you ready?
Dang.
Is it about the glasses? Yeah. Go ahead. We still haven't answered that one.
That was a rumor.
Oh,
I want you to explain
yeah.
triple bypass.
Okay. Triple bypass.
Because for those of you who don't know, this is triple bypass extraction.
Yes.
That's the third triple bypass album that has come out, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay, all right.
And it's not just a trilogy. It's more than that. It's, I guess since an early age I was fascinated with the hearts, the way things go. It's your main component of your body, you know, what makes you live. And I was a senior in high school, and my uncle would drink and smoke a lot, and he had to have a triple bypass. And we just had to just think about, you know, so for some reason that term stuck in my head that would save you. You know, it would save you from dying. It would save you from your mistakes that you made prior to the surgery. So that was always something that was in the back of my head. Like, it was just kind of fascinated by the procedure, the term, and kind of like Mightier Than the Sword. I was always obsessed with the terminology of that. So that was always in the back of my mind, is, you know, your heart. Fascinated with the heart. Triple bypass. So when I started the musical journey, as a solo artist, I wanted to associate everything with the heart, everything with, you know, cardiac, the things of that nature, physically and figuratively and symbolically, yada, yada, yada. So that's how the whole process of my 5 albums have been. On the Brink was the first one in 2007, which a lot of people thought it was on the brink of success or on the brink of the verge of doing something, but it was just always like, I always felt like I was on the verge of explosion, in a part of, not like, you know, not like my physical heart, but just like my artistic heart. So, you know, everything kind of resembles that hardcore art store, things like this. So it was like on the brink of like a heart attack or a heart failure, what I was doing up until that point. So you mentioned, you know, talking about things with that you said when you were 25 years old. And there were so many just off the wall shit. You know, toxic's a word that's thrown around so much now. Just toxic shit.
Yeah.
So I began to try to get this balance with getting the toxicity out through my music, but not so up in front to where it would push people back. So On the Brink was kind of like the start of that, where it was like, you know, these are the actions that I have that could eventually lead to a heart failure. So, you know, I guess I can't really explain extraction until I explain that. You know, kind of. So, so you get to that, then you go. The second album was called Hardcore Hip Hop, which is similar to, you know, I'm looking at you as a fellow artist, and I'm seeing and I'm hearing all these familiar emotions that I'm having with, you know, stripping yourself down to the bare core of you and your essence of what you've really wanted to do for yourself. And that's what hardcore hip hop was. And, you know, that was 2009, which is this classic. big fight in between hip hop of, is this East Coast, is this West Coast hip hop, is this like gangster rap, is this soulful rap, is this backpack rap,
boxing,
yeah,
everything had to be boxed and defined,
yeah,
right?
It just, and then it was so cliquish, and you know, and I just remember conversations with people, and it was like, well, is this hardcore rap? Is this hardcore hip hop? And then you started hearing people saying, rap is not hip hop, hip hop is not rap, and people just fighting about the art form.
Gatekeeping, a lot of gatekeeping going on at that time. Yeah,
independently
Absolutely.
and in the industry.
absolutely.
So, I just said, I was in a very comfortable place in my life, and I said, I'm just going to do this for me, like you said. That's why I relate to that, and it's another coincidental thing that it was your sophomore album too, pretty much. So I just dove into myself, and I said, this was before the era of let's get a bunch of clean songs out so we can place them. I was like, I needed to challenge myself to make a clean record. And that was the balance between, finding that core of my heart, which essentially you can massage your own heart. That's kind of what the idea was, to try to make that more healthy. And as if you can see on the cover of Hardcore, it's the microphone is strangling my heart. It's wrapped around my heart, and it's just, that's going to be the death of me if I don't control it right. So the first triple bypass was 2 years after that, and it was just everything that I was over consuming in my life. Like, we had a point where I was running a label, and there was close to 100 artists on the label. Just different, not MCs, but just bands and different things, and that just slowly started killing me at an early age. It felt like, but it was something you felt like you needed to do, and I needed to do. So with the first triple bypass, it's called In the Ambulance, is where you just got dumped into the ambulance because you're doing all this stuff, and I was doing not heavy drugs. I was doing drugs a lot, smoking a lot, drinking a lot, popping pills a lot, doing lines a lot, and then being around a lot of people and inviting them into my circle.
That can be a drug in itself.
It is,
Yeah.
And so that's what landed me in the ambulance, and so that was the first triple bypass, In the Ambulance, and I kind of stepped away from solo things for a while. Moved back to China for a little bit. And fast forward a little bit to the pandemic era. I always had an idea to have at least 5 triple bypass, because there's so much work you have to do to, people. This is another a phrase people say a lot is, you got to fix yourself, you got to heal yourself. We didn't hear enough of that earlier on in my life. So I just took the initiative to use art and travel as a healing process. And when it didn't work, I just put it on the back burner completely. Met people like Marshall, people like Brandon. Kept up relationships with my friends from the past, and just not necessarily intentionally put music on the back burner. It just wasn't there. But you could always feel in my heart. There was a murmur, symbolic murmur. And then the pandemic came, and it was just like life flashes for everybody. We didn't know what the hell was going to happen. We didn't know what we were going to do.
Who would have thought in our lifetime we would ever had come across that point where it was like everybody was just in disarray. At least that's how I thought. I mean, I looked at it was like
Utter chaos.
Yeah, and I mean, you grow up, you hear in the school textbooks, and you hear about this, but then it was right on our doorstep.
Yeah, and they were using so many of those fear tactics, so we didn't know what was going on, so of course that's an initiative in itself for me to say, I have these things, these habits, these little songs that I've written for these triple bypass, or these habits that I need to just push to the side and just start over. But I kept the whole idea of the triple bypass under anesthesia was the next step. So that brings me to the point where you're getting ready to have the extraction, extract whatever you're doing. So it's like a process. So to get to extraction, that is the current step in my artistic process as a musician, an artist that does music, is to get shit out, get the toxic, and I hate to say that anymore because so many people use it, but I mean that's the truth of the matter, to get the toxic out. So don't be afraid of who you might offend, get your point across. So the extraction is just that. And contrary to In the Ambulance, which was feature heavy, just to get them out of my life. A lot of these kids, these cats, unfortunately, a lot of those I don't want to talk to ever again in my life. But I wanted to do music with them at that point in my career. Contrary to that, Extraction was, especially on the deluxe edition, was people that I wanted to invite with me to help get this out. Help get these, for lack of a better term, these clogged arteries out. Get all extract everything that may be not letting my heart pump at the rate that it needs to pump. So that's the name of Triple Bypass Extraction. And I left it as just that. You were talking about being very particular with rhyme schemes and formats with that. As you know, up until that point I was very, this is what I want to do, this is the way that I want to rap. Rigid, multi-syllables, serious, and all this, with a hook that has some cadence to it, singing and things like this. But with Extraction, I was like, I don't have to have a certain format anymore, because hip hop is very formatted. It's very, when people think of authentic hip hop, like that's the whole stigma of it, is 3 verses and a hook.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's refreshing to hear your point of view from Wrecking Souls, because now I want to listen to that and find out the bridges and find out that, because it was put together in a way where I didn't catch that, which is good. You're sitting and listening to a hip hop record from the 90s or 2000. You get into the point where the next song is going to come on. This is going to come on, which is good if you want to bob your head, and it's good for the culture. But when you're wrapped up into something where you don't know where a song begins and ends and it just flows, that's a beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what I wanted to do with Extraction. That's what I feel from Wrecking Soul. That's kind of what I feel from even this new era hip hop. It's some of the trap, some of the drill music is like you don't really, it's seamless.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it might not be substantial or have a lot of substance in it, but I mean, it's a seamless, it's a quilt, So that's kind of what I want to do with Extraction. And the first time I put an actual deluxe edition out, because I wanted my friends involved with that, because we had a date for June, I think it was 12th, to have the fashion show, and I wanted to have something for that, but that's a wordy way around to answer that.
No, that's great. I mean, I never really understood what that was about. It was a genuine question.
Yeah, okay.
And when you tie it all in together, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. And with Extraction, if you're getting the triple bypass done, I mean, poetically, that metaphor makes a lot of sense to me.
Right.
I mean, the Wrecking Soul was almost very similar.
Yeah.
Because it was like destroy and then plant something new. And it's almost like, I like that a lot.
Yeah. It's always been that way since the beginning. Fortunately, at 27, I was able to get away from a label that I was under that wasn't allowing me to the freedom that I wanted. Which I could have fallen victim to something that was like, this is what you got to do.
Mm-hmm.
They were already saying, because like back then, my first 3 albums, 80 minutes, 79:59. You know, you could fit 80 minutes on a CD, and that's what that was the goal. I was gonna write music until it was, it made sense, it flowed, and it was giving the customer the whole 80 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, so that's what I was doing to begin with, and I wouldn't have been able to pour my heart out that way if I was with with a label and things like that. But there was always an intention, and it was before it was on Dub Ring, BA. You know, when I was thinking, in that form, when I was thinking, like you said, you and LeVar was that way. I had,
Come back, LeVar.
Me and Westifer and Derek were the same way. That's what we thought we were going to do, is that type of music, and then something evolved in us. I think it's Westifer helped pinpoint me as an artist, because he learned me in a few years in college, and he learned himself, and we learned each other, knowing what we would like. And it was soulful fucking beats. It was hip hop samples and things like that. And that's he produced half of On the Brink, and then he produced all of Extraction. And there's
now coming full circle.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it is full circle. He produced a lot on hardcore hip hop. And then there was a gap. Looking back, he was upset. I could tell that he was only on triple bypass in an ambulance one time. But I had to explain it to him about a year ago when we were working on Extraction, that, look, man, this was for me to get rid of people. You know what I'm saying? Like, get away from these people. I don't need to get away from you. You know? So then he kind of, that was almost 10 years after the record was released that I could finally sit down and talk to him about it. And he didn't, nobody until that point knew that there was a blueprint or a plan.
Right.
So that was, as we were working with Extraction, that I was finally open enough to tell people, like, this has always been the plan from On the Brink on. And like he said, like, every word has a meaning, the covers have a meaning, and it's all related to the heart. And it's been a crazy ride.
Crazy journey.
See, that's why I love albums. That's why I love the art form of an album. I mean, it's so much deeper than, because you can put your whole life into a single song.
Yeah.
And then, but it's really just a tiny little snippet of your life, and you put that shit together, layer it, and that's why I'm so the way I am about albums, man.
Yeah.
I've always been that way.
Right.
Always been that way.
What's funny I found is there's, these albums for me, like, I don't want to hear just that song.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I legit, if I hear it, outside somewhere, somebody else is playing, I'm like, I'll start in my head getting ready for the next song.
Yes.
Because I know what's coming.
Yeah.
And then when I don't, I'm like, oh,
Yep.
man.
Yeah, and there's some songs that partner so well with the one that follows it that you feel robbed if you don't hear them both. You know? Especially in older, like 70s and stuff. That was
for
good.
sure.
But even now,
Yeah.
Could you guess, knowing me, what my favorite song on that album is? On your album?
Extraction. Love Hurts.
Love Hurts is pretty good. It's pretty good. Well, I'm saying the one I was like replayed 3 times and I was fucking vibing in my car too.
Vibing with the lyrics or vibing with the hook? Because that's
Too much info.
too much info.
Too much info. You got to guess.
Due to him.
Due to Him was really good.
Strike 2.
You got one more. On my shit talking, listening to rap bullshit vibe, yeah.
Oh, that one.
Oh, that one.
Probably Get the Fuck Out of Here Part 2.
Listen. What? I'm trying to think of the line that you open one of your verses. It don't have to be gender specific to be on some bitch shit. I love that shit, dude.
I'm not even looking at that. Okay. Okay.
And
I
played
I
it.
forget about this song.
Yeah, dude,
a lot.
it's so good. I was because again, like I'm so like you said, you really stepped out of your. I don't want to say stepped out of your box because you weren't boxed in, but you
Right.
did step
Oh,
away
yeah.
a bit from your typical structure with this album.
Yeah.
And like that, I really don't know about a bitch. It was like I was
You
like,
heard that
Ty,
part?
man. I was like, Ty, what is?
All right.
And it because I'm used to doing shows with you and like everything we talked about last time we were here about how
Yeah.
you have this very serious rigid structure to the way you do music, and that was like so refreshing.
Yeah.
To me, because also most of the songs on here are very much I can tell, like the Get the Fuck Out Part 1 and Part 2 I can tell you were serious, and a lot of the content is very serious, and then that shit comes in and it's like
Okay.
like man, I was loving it. I played it like 3 times. Danielle and I were vibing to that shit. And she said, he really talking some shit in this. I said, he really is. He really
You're
is.
being sneaky about
Yeah,
it.
Good,
it's so good.
I mean, I look at that, but even I look at that track listing and I just skipped over it because like it was it was one like you said about like Too Aggressive. I had a whole other song written to that, and at the very beginning of that song, I hear I want to be a rap star. Rap star. That was the song. It was a whole fucking song.
And turned into the intro.
And then I was like, look, man, I don't need this song. I need something else.
Yeah.
I need something else. I'll do that song or something else. And really, I did a deep dive in that because there's still there. That was one of the ones I didn't know if I was going to use the beat or not. I deep dove into myself and I was like, what is the most underused word that I use that I'm comfortable with saying? I said, I do not say bitch enough. Like really, that's that.
Can that be the title of this episode, please? I do not use the word bitch enough.
Not like, and it's something is it would been instilled in me and some people in society to not say bitch, but it's a wonderful word
It is
to fucking
wonderful.
say.
It just
if you degrade somebody with it, then that's something else.
Yeah.
So that whole fucking song, I was like, I'm going to let the bitch fly. I'm going to let it fly all the way through there. And thankfully, it was the very last session of this.
Really?
It was the very last session. It has no correlation with my wife, but we had just had a long night, a long fight. I came up here first thing in the morning, and I was like, I gotta fucking finish this album.
The energy was there.
Like I had drank the whole night beforehand. I had woke up at 3 o'clock because I just wanted to come up here and write. I came up here and I was like, that's the day I changed Love Hurts. I did two new verses for that. And then I was like, how can I get into this song and do it? And I wrote it the morning that I was going to the studio, and I called Ian up and I was like, Ian, man, I'm going to the studio. I know you're in town, and this is the guy I grew up with. And I said, if you want to come in there, it's just me usually and Brian.
That's him. His voice snippet
at the beginning. Okay. And I was like, if you want to come through.
Ian from Southwest?
Ian Reed. He was from Asheboro.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I
think we only had one Ian down there.
Yeah, I grew up with him. His family was from where I was at on Elm Street before I moved over to Southwest. I called him up and I was like, he had just invited us to his house the week before. So like we were really trying to rehash this relationship. He brought some wine over. Brian was in there. It was just me, Brian, and Ian. And like I said, I just wrote this crazy song. It's not like my typical song. It would have been my typical song at 25, 26. But it's me more polished as like certain things that I don't, I mean, it gets the point across. There's no extra shit. It gets your point across. And I explained it to him. He said, I'll be there. And then I was recording Due to Him. I wrote Due to Him, Love Hurts, and I Don't Know About a Bitch. That same morning, all within an hour. And I was like, it was because I was on like a time clock. I was like, this is my last session that I have. for the actual album, not the deluxe. And it was fun. It was fun. I just go into it, but I just, we were taught, not to just say this is a bitch. I was taught that way, that the woman is a bitch. So that's why I made it very clear at the beginning
I appreciate
of the second verse. I let you get into it with that first verse, and then you're like, oh, this is motherfucker lost. And then, like, I was...
It's like he found the word bitch.
Yeah.
And started using it.
And then I'm just making sure that, it's not gender specific. It's like if you fucking, like a whining dog, a whining little dog that needs something.
Yep.
That's I'm done with it. And another contrary to popular belief, nothing was written towards somebody.
I wanna be a rap star, but they say I won't last long, cause I make a lot of sad songs, and they be like, hey, Lord, hold up, I know you my whole life. You never wanted to be a rap star, but you did want to weed them bitches out.
I know about my friends and I know about my fam. I know about my ends and I know about my plans. I know about my lens and I know about my cam, but I really don't know about a bitch. I know about my friends and I know about my fam. I know about my ends and I know about my plans. I know about my lens and I know about my cam, but I really don't know about a bitch. I take pride in my higher learning, but one thing I promise I am not concerned with is anybody that's acting like a bitch. I ain't asking you to switch, I'm just calling you out. Take your ass with the trash when I'm hauling it out. Feel the need to reach out, smack you on your mouth. I'm like, really, motherfucker, what you talking about? Please don't act like you know me. It might bring me back to the old me, when I too was acting like a bitch. But you know what? I got my ass up out of it. Wrote a song about it, made some cash up out of it. Got up on my product, made a mass amount of it. I live by the code, we all like the sound of it. So if you see me out, please don't ever ask about a bitch. I know about my friends and I know about my fan. I know about my ends and I know about my plans. I know about my lens and I know about my cam, but I really don't know about a bitch. I know about my friends and I know about my fans. I know about my ends and I know about my plans. I know about my lens and I know about my cam, but I really don't know about a bitch. It's not gender specific if you doing some big shit. That's really how I'm gon' list it. Cause you a bitch, so stop bitching. Yes, a bitch is a bitch, please cease and desist from everything that I'm trying to get. I don't need you in my circle cause you just don't fit, and you're putting everything at risk. We might have been pretty cool in the past, but by now you can really kiss my ass. I'd be happy, put your ass with the trash. And it's not who you were, but homie, how you act. And you been shitty for really, you falling flat. And I've been feeling the villain and how they blast first, and then they asking questions last. But all that karma just sneak up on your ass, bitch. I know about my friends. And I got so many emails and so many texts.
I would have thought there was some something there.
I was like, I was just in a pin up anger, and there's. If it was to somebody, it was like to 100 people.
Yeah.
And not just one person. It's like all these people, like the fucking guy in the dumpster.
Yeah.
I try to be nice to him, but like it's just like all this, the people that park out here and block me in, the woman that wants to come knock on the door as soon as I get, like, it's just everybody.
Yeah.
Like,
and I could
fuck
tell
all y'all.
I could tell, dude.
And and thankfully, I texted my wife. I was like, I'm writing this song, and it's going to be a nasty song, and it's not going to be towards you, even though we had this fight. And she was like, just don't be too mean to anybody, like any particular person. I was like, it's not to any particular person.
But I am mean.
But I'm going in. Yeah, I'm not really holding back. And like, so like with at least 4 songs on this album, I got people telling me what did I do to you?
So
like,
good.
and I'm like, you know,
It's
So
as if
good.
there was something on their mind.
yeah, exactly.
Maybe
like,
if the shoe fits type of scenario.
Yeah, so that's every time I put GTF, get the fuck out of here, part 1. I'm like, you know, if it fits, wear it. You know, there's some people that you know that you would assume like, hey, I wrote this, you know, for him or her.
Yeah.
And it really, I wrote that before I had fallen out with really good friends. You know, it's the audacity of people to say that shit is about them just you know, personifies I don't know about a bitch. I mean, just the other day I put a little chunky dude sliding down a slide and said, "This is how I'm gonna slide out your life if you fucking play games with me." Man, I got somebody texting my wife, "What did I do to y'all?" I mean, it had to come from that. There was no other. I was like, well, there's a list if you want to know, but I mean, like you said, if people are thinking about it, like
it's on their mind.
It's on their minds. I mean, they already know. Like, I don't have to, you know, I don't have to say it. You know, I don't have to do it.
It's such a good track, man. And
Thank
like,
you. Yeah.
I don't know how you. I'm telling you, you took a early 2000s vibe, mindset, material, and you made it okay for this climate that we're currently in.
Yeah.
And the way you did that without, I mean, it doesn't sound cliche. It doesn't sound like you're pandering in any way. You just, I can tell that you mean it, but it's like the way, I don't know how the hell to do that. I don't know how to take that shit-talking, angry vibe from early 2000s and not just come out like a dick. I don't know how to do it, man. I don't know how to do it, but you did it. And like, I mean, I'm telling you, I that's the first track on that album I ran back, and I probably ran it back 2 or 3 times before going to the next song.
See, that also proves your point about people that listen to your supporters, people that listen to your stuff, because, you know, I know that people have bought that. I've given it to them. They have said that they listened to it. But I know if they heard that song, if they really listened to it, they would have said something about that song.
Yeah.
Like, really.
Bingo.
You know, especially rappers.
Yeah.
You know, the first person that said something about it was Brian's stepson.
Okay.
He was in, we actually filmed the whole video for Get the Fuck Out of Here Part 2 at Flatiron before Mylan got here. All right, this one's called GTFOH Part 2. So I guess it's gonna fly a couple times. Good? Yeah. So this is when you really tell somebody to leave alone, they're gone. This is like this time. Okay, this is when you get a break.
Taking all my time. I'm trying to be a better man, following a better plan. Get that toxic out of my life. Taking all my time. I'm trying to be a better man, don't you fucking understand? Get the fuck up out of my life. It always starts out real buddy-buddy, and then they move on to say that they love me. Next up, they assume they can judge me. Then they really gon' come try push and nudge me. On the contrary, you cannot budge me. I live by a code, and that you can trust me. The sword may dull, but it never gets rusty. I sharpen it as we speak, cause it must be. Use to chop off the head of the snakes. Start to get hungry, put a head on my plate. I eat it real slow, when I'm fed, I am straight. Then on to the next one I said I would taste. This time I wonder how much lead it would take. For the motherfucker talking bread we would break, but ended up being all the bread he would take. Brucey sleeping good in the bed that I make. Yeah. Taking all my time. I'm trying to be a better man, following a better plan. Get that toxic out of my life. Taking all my time. My time. I'm trying to be a better man, don't you fucking understand? Get the fuck up out of my life. I rarely have any time for that chit chat. What I put in, best believe I'm finna get back. Give you one time, afterwards you best get back. You ain't hear what I say, listen to the click clack. Just that, break that, hit that. Nerve in the center, but the kid's back. Tit tat with hip rap, the beat you till my fist black. And I really don't wish that on any motherfucking body, but don't miss that. I can take a break from these bars like a Kit Kat. I put it on my mama, homeboy, these are big facts. Coming with that drama, homeboy, I'ma fix that. I'ma find a llama, promise that I'm gonna spit that. Any kind of gonna wanna mix a diss track. Onomatopoeia, the police is being dispatched. No longer a breather, you are sleeping with a fish at. Yeah. Taking all my time. My time. I'm trying to be a better man, following a better plan. Get that toxic out of my life. Taking all my time. My time. I'm trying to be a better man, don't you fucking understand? Get the fuck up out of my life.
And he came up and he was talking about it, and I was like, kind of explained to him that that was like the most underused word.
Yeah.
Then I was like, because just to say that I put on the brink, I put a sticker on it, and there's got to be some left over, and it said like something like caution hot, touch with the oven mitt, something like this. Does not degrade women and yada yada yada, something like that. Like, so like I just wanted to make it. But I also talk about some
Some salacious stuff.
Yeah, I'm thinking about like how hypocritical is that? I'm like talking about
Freshman album, man.
Yeah, talking about make a butt red like a baboon.
And this was the plan from the beginning, right?
I'm thinking
from
like
the beginning.
Yeah. I mean, that's I'm like, but this is not degrade people. Like,
You're doing 15 years.
Yeah.
You would,
Well, that kind of that's. I've been, I'm not gonna say I'm OG, but like I've been around since the beginning days, and I remember when you first started putting out stuff. And one thing I want to talk to you about is like that I've always been curious about is like the art direction side of things, because I feel like during this whole process from the get-go, from On the Brink and then through the triple bypass, like I've also seen your just artistic side, not just lyricist music, but your actual physical photography, whatever. I mean, it's just fully come out, and I'm kind of curious, like when you were you said you had this kind of plan from back in the day, like do you feel like that kick-started that creative process, or did it actually like give you like open the floodgates of it, or is it something you've just picked up? Not even picked up, that's a bad way to say it, but like
picked up is a good word.
Is that something that like maybe you didn't know you truly had in you?
Pretty much all of the above what you just said.
Okay.
So I'm gonna set this up here so we can get a little bit of that footage too. Because this is a good question. I want to capture it on this too. So, where we're from. We know where we're growing up. This is Asheboro Undecided. So, he even mentioned something about meals and stuff. As joking as we made it, that's kind of like what this city was in the 80s.
For sure.
You do this, you do that. And
still is.
It still is very much so.
Very much.
But there is so much of a fight to get rid of that we don't know where that fight's going to end up. That's what's Asheboro on the side. We don't know if the fight's going to go back to this whole thing, or are we going to try to get on the other side of this and become a progressive city. So once I did On the Brink, once I put that out there, and the entire world because it was international.
Mm-hmm.
The entire world but my home city was pushing that and being excited about that. You know, Snoop Dogg listening to it, Tom Waits listening to it, because it was put in this whole circuit that people would listen to and accepted that.
Yeah.
And I also put a song about Asheboro on there.
Yep.
That I was like, there is so much more that I can do. I thought that this was never going to get accepted. I was just doing it for me. I still am doing it for me, you know. But it just, the same thing with traveling. It's like once I started getting the hell out of the country, it was like, oh, I can do this. I can go here.
Yeah.
Well, shit, I'm going to go to Europe next. I'm going to go to Mexico. I'm going to go to China. You know, I'm going to start doing all this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it's that same feeling that I got. It's like, I can do this and fuck anybody that's really saying it. But really, I still have in my heart, like, I wish that they would just accept that like everybody else is.
Right.
So I'm still in that position. Like, there's a lot of people in Asheboro that don't accept things that I do. But I'm still doing it because On the Brink helped. I picked it up, like you said.
Yeah.
It opened the floodgates for me. It showed me that I can do something. Nobody was in Asheboro rapping.
No.
I was the first one.
I mean, there's maybe a few, but
I mean, I'm really, yeah.
you are.
Like a few, yeah. But hobby-wise, you know.
Right.
You know, talking about serious, I was the first one. And I'm still doing it, and people have done it because of me, and I know this for a fact.
Yeah.
This isn't like just me boasting. It's I know that this has helped people say I can do this too.
Yeah.
So that's why I started teaching. That's why I still stay involved with the youth. Is because when they start seeing things like this, that they know that somebody else has done it from here. Because we didn't have any of that shit.
No. No, you're right.
We had, you know, people that say that they can do pottery because they've done pottery all their life. They've done it here, you know. They didn't. Nobody told me, hey, you can go to China. Everybody was like, the red communists, fuck them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, really.
Yeah.
So when it opened up, that album opened up my ability to unlock fashion design.
Yeah.
My very first trip overseas was to Milan, Italy. I didn't even know what I was doing. And I fell in love with the fashion world there, and I was so ignorant about it. I didn't know what was going on. It was also my first, experience talking with a transgender person or going to a nightlife like that.
Yeah.
You know, so that that opened
Are
up.
you trying to say the nightlife of Asheboro did not prepare you for the nightlife of Milan, Italy?
I'm saying this.
That's a bold statement, dude. Bold.
But I'm telling you, like, the person that you know inside of yourself prepares yourself for that.
Yeah.
So you know, like, you put yourself in a position like that, and there's no, like, when you don't cower and you're sitting there and you're seeing a person for a human being, you know what I'm saying? That's what they are, you know. I've learned a lot since then, and it's because of art, you know. I would be very, like, 2 years ago, a year ago, 6 months ago, even this whole Kanye West thing, like, I would even have been like, fuck you for thinking that he shouldn't say this. Like, now I'm more like, I accept your opinion, and we can still be in the same vicinity with each other. Whoever you voted for today, let's go. You know, let's just live our life more.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that prepared me for that. Art prepared me for that. That's another wordy way of saying, you know.
Well, I think it kind of goes back to what, you know, we were talking about earlier. Like, you know, art is an individual, you know, experience when it gets down to a core. But I've always felt it's a very collective thing. And it's, you know, it's why you have, you know, just people lined up to see the Mona Lisa that have had no bearing on what that actual impact of that painting or whatever you want, you know, put in anything. but you know, there is a collective thing, but when it comes down to it, it's an individualistic thing. It's, you know, we could go look at the same piece of artwork or listen to the same album and take two totally different things away from it that are unique to us. But then at the same time, we can sit here and talk about it, and not even talk about it, talk about other things and find, you know, the quote-unquote common ground. And that's what I've always found beautiful about it. And to get back to what you're saying, I mean, it's or kind of back to the question or what I was kind of curious about. I mean, that's one thing I've really enjoyed seeing your journey. Because I remember, like I said, when the first one came out, or the one that I got, you know, and then when you started doing the photography, the fashion, and I mean, it's been a beautiful thing to see. And knowing you since as long as I've known you, I mean, I ain't gonna lie, at first I was like, Tybrew does fashion?
Oh yeah.
But then, you know, when and the one thing that I will say too about it is it made me, not made me, but I wanted to get to know you as a person better. And you know, even like you said, with your life experiences and stuff like that, it's been great, and I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate the friendship and the motivation that brings me, because really, as it goes back to it, I guess that is really the end game, or what keeps me in Asheboro, because, you know, not saying I want to force it down people until they fucking accept it, but like, just to know that there's people here that accept that vision and accept that passion and accept the art. You know, who fucking knows what you might start painting next year. Who knows? Mm-hmm. You know, we're already doing this. Yeah. You know, this is a form of art.
That's so
you
true.
know, what's gonna unlock this? You know, I mean, so you know, it's just like
kind of like a. I've always kind of thought about it. It's, you know, you have like that, not ability, but like something like kind of like a scratch. Mm-hmm. And then once you itch it a little bit, it gets more itchier, and then you scratch more, and it's like, I could definitely see what you're saying there. It's something, not as cliche as say like the key to unlock the door, but I mean something like your music, basically just. And I was just always curious about that from your perspective.
Well, you and I had a personal conversation recently about, you know, how you inspire me the way that you just dive into whatever venture it is that you're going to do. Like, there's been a moment in my life where I was like, I could be a photographer. I never had canvases spread all over my art store. I never did that. You know, there's been times when I've run merch, but there's been a time when I was like, I could have a whole t-shirt line. I've had that thought and idea, but go so far with it. Yeah. And that's always something that's been inspiring about you, is that you do it. Like, you execute. Like, time and time again, and, you know, venture after venture. I mean, I mentioned the podcast to you. It was like 30 seconds worth of a conversation. I was like, you know, been thinking we'd like to do this at some point, and then here we are. Boom. Yeah. It's like, if there's ever... The short film, I think that was the most ambitious project. Right. And I can't think of anyone else I know personally, who would have done that, honestly. Right. I ain't just blowing smoke or anything. It was, you know, it takes two is what they say, but it takes, you know, you got to meet people halfway. And, you know, if it's a vision that's somebody appreciates with their heart, and they're willing to put that in, that's how the whole fucking label failed, is because people were not putting even 5% of their self into it. They wanted somebody to do it all. Mm-hmm. So anytime that I meet somebody that I'm like, you know, talking with you, if you help me get on my, like at Regal, I say, you help me get on my ass and make it serious, we're going to make it serious. Yeah. You know, same thing with him. If he's serious as an artist and musician, let's do this. You know, that's why he's here, is because hopefully something will click with him where he's like, you know, he's already writing notes about lyrics down there, because he's going to write a song tonight probably or tomorrow. You know, I mean, that's what we're here to build up people. Yeah. To make our, you know, at least our circle strong. You know, so we know, like, hey, did you do this? Did you do this yet? Did you do the podcast yet? Did you clear this shit out yet? Did you?
You know, I mean, we're here to help each other.
Yeah.
You know, because at the end of the day, my bucket list has been fucking checked off. Like, it's been, like, so why not help, you know, why not help other people reach their bucket list if they got it? Because, like, I'm sure there's going to be something to where, like, oh, I can't wait to go see, like, maybe the Harry Potter thing in Universal, I want to check that off my bucket list. So something's going to come up.
It's pretty cool.
You know, something's going to come up, and I'm like, I got to check this off.
Yeah.
But, like,
Have a fat wallet when you go there.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
but I mean, that's you know, that's it. You know, I've looked myself in the, you know, that's why I keep doing this, because I look myself in the mirror and I'm like, this is what I'm going to do, this is why I'm going to do it, and I'm not going to fail myself, and I'm not going to fail my responsibility as a man, as a father, as a husband, as a friend. I'm not going to do that as I'm doing it. So if I deviate from any of that, it's time to shake my ass into focus. You know, the same thing with, you know, with drinking. Like, I have to, you know, you've seen me, I have to focus myself in to stop drinking for months at a time, years at a time if I need to, if that starts getting a hold of me. You know, so if this, you know, any kind of art starts taking away from the actual part of my life that I need to live, then that's when we need to, you know, shift it. And, you know, and I go back and forth with Asheboro so much. Like, I feel like it's not the place for me, and then I feel like it is. Yeah. You know, and
there's a lot of potential in Asheboro.
There
a lot of potential.
Is. There is, and it's like, but I've seen that potential for 30 years. Yeah. You know, and we reach it, and like he Shad brought a good point up. You know, we can get some good stuff, and then somebody fucks it up. Yeah. Somebody gets in there with their mentality, and they fuck it up. We could have a really good thing, and they fuck it up. You know, we starting to have a really good downtown, but they're fucking it up because it's the same fucking place all through there. Mm. You know, you got 6 coffee shops. Mm-hmm. They're fucking it up. They're not putting something else in there that's, you know, that's not a coffee shop or a bar now. Like, now there's, you know, there is, you know, the Tap House is there, the Pig is there, the Four Saints is there, Lumen is there. You know, they're, you know, there's fucking, I mean, I feel like they are. They're seeing what works for somebody else and they're doing it. And that's what I'm never going to do. I'm never going to sit there and see somebody that's doing something and say, I can
duplicate that.
I can duplicate that.
But, yeah.
I mean, But that right there is perfect to what I'm saying. I mean, so many people. We were talking about movies earlier. Corporate music is the same way. If you have, if you're putting a big investment in or whatever.
It's in that bag, in that blue bag.
If you're, you know, it's like if people are only going to put money towards something if it's a guarantee now. That's how it feels.
Yeah.
If it's a guarantee. Sure. And see, you're not a corporation. You're not some big company. You're just one person. And for you to excel in multiple creative avenues, that's what I'm saying is so inspiring. Because the term aticophobia, right? So afraid to fail that you don't even try.
Right.
And that, I feel like, 95% of the population is that way. I'm that way in a lot of different things, you know, and a lot of people are. But I just hope that when people see you and see your different ventures and the way you just go head first into it, you know, I hope that it inspires people to do, because God knows, I mean, what if the person who invented, you know, CDs just didn't try to do it?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's so many different things that just wouldn't exist if somebody just didn't try and do it.
Right.
And that's a thing about you that's always been so inspiring to me. Like, I hardly knew you when you did the Sweeney Todd thing. And I was like, damn, that's ambitious. Like, that is ambitious. Yeah. You know? And just to go all in on it is just something I've always
just make it hard for us to support everything you're doing because you're always doing so much.
Always doing so much.
That is definitely, man. So I'm seeing that too, and that's like I need to conquer that, because that is really like excelling is all right, but just I'm not able to capitalize on these things because there's so much going on. It's so confusing to people because I know I make it confusing. So just the
I'm struggling.
it.
You can do it, man.
Do we need to pause for a minute?
No, it's all right. Just go, make sure that one's running.
It's good.
Yeah, just make sure that
Okay.
one's running, man. And that one's running. That's good.
Yeah, I got.
All
I
right.
got.
You good?
I
Good.
checked.
We're
Good
good.
shot.
All good.
So
Put it in there.
it's the blue or the black one.
There you go.
Mhm.
There you go.
Where were we at? Where were we at?
Talking about, how
Capitalizing on
capitalizing all
Okay,
the
yeah,
different
okay,
things.
yeah. So I confuse people, and I don't do it on purpose. So just per se, the seventh circle thing that I'm working on now, it's confusing the fuck out of everybody. Seventh circle is the name of the song, but it's seven and then circle with the S.
Mm.
That's the name of a song, which it does relate to the name of the short film, but the seventh circle short film is seventh circle instead of S. It's a seven again,
Ah,
7-7. And then there were people that signed up for the seventh circle music video that didn't sign up for the seventh circle short film.
Mm.
The seventh circle music video is like completely all out violent, just
Dark.
it's dark.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So people are like, oh, that's the short film that you were talking about. I'm like, I'm sorry. I mean, it's confusing.
Yeah.
So I need to work on that as a person. You know what I'm saying? It's confusing to say, hey, Monday I'm going to try to sell all this shit, and then Tuesday I'm trying to sell all this shit. And Wednesday I'm going to be a musician, and Thursday I'm going to try to pitch my videos, and Friday I'm going to do my instrumentals, and
Right.
I mean, so nobody knows, and nobody knows what to do. Like they can't keep up. I can't keep up with this.
That's what
You
I've
know what I'm
always
saying?
wondered.
Like, it's
How
so
does he
hard.
do all this?
Like I can't keep up. It's hard to keep up.
I mean, to go back to what it's all inspiring and
Yeah.
inspirational because I'm like, damn, I'm trying to do this shit.
I
You
know.
know, I need
And
to
then-
step my game up.
and
You
then-
know,
Yeah.
And then here we are doing this, and this is going to be another thing that's going to be hard for people to differentiate. And like with you guys' help, I think that we can just like push it to it's a separate thing, but it's hard. But like I just know as the life of an artist, like I'm never gonna see what I'm gonna be. I'm never gonna see what I'm gonna be. It's gonna be way after I'm done.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the
I
life
think
of
most
an artist.
artists.
Yeah.
I like that.
I mean, it's like I've accepted that, and
Did you
I
see
just
that the
I-
Migos increased like by I don't know 1 million followers after that
Yeah.
incident just happened?
What
Yeah.
happened? I missed that.
Takeoff from Migos got killed over a dice game,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
like
shit.
that's
Like just regular
Yep.
dice game.
Yep.
Dice game. Yeah.
in
Shot in the head.
Houston. And we can get into that because like we people been getting shot over dice games since the beginning of time.
Mhm.
Like people to say like, hey, over a dice game and that's it. People get upset about that shit. It's don't put yourself in that position.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's not his. It's definitely not his fault. But like people are, R.I.P. and this and that, and they're gonna forget about him, and then they're gonna bring him back up.
Yep.
And they're gonna forget about him, and they're gonna bring him back up. But that's what you're never gonna see what you're gonna be. And I made peace with that. I just want, like I said from the beginning, like we owe it to, the people that we love and the people that love us to at least leave them as much as possible,
Yeah.
so that they can look at it when they're, when we're gone. Because that's what we want to do with our loved ones
Yep.
when they're
For
gone. If we got the ability to do this, and any kind of sentimental value we can give to the world is fine. But if you give something that's, more than that, if you give something there's some solid, things that people can live and die by,
Mhm.
You thinking back, people are still quoting Tupac stuff. I'm not saying that I'm any kind of level of that, but people have expanded their minds and their brains a lot more since then. You know, there's things that really are life changing that people are doing and seeing. And then just like we were talking about these trees that they're cutting, like these trees that they're cutting have been around for hundreds of years, and they're cutting them down to make a bigger highway. That's the power in photography. You know, you capture these moments that people can't see, they won't see, or they're never going to be able to see again.
Yeah.
That's why I really take these things, because, you know, you can look at the tiger like that. You can walk anywhere around the room, the tiger's going to follow you. The eyes are going to look right at you.
Yeah.
You know, that's not really my artwork. It's just I captured the moment. You know, music's the same way, and it's a double-edged sword, because I did the show at Lumina, and it was just all of my Chinese art. And then you get these people in your life. You talk about Asheboro, but it's always around everywhere. You get these people in your life that want to make you stop doing it, like you said. Fear of it, but once you get to what if you conquered that fear, and then you got this person, and there's always one person at the show. There's always this one person when you give them an album. There's always this one person that says to me, "Hip hop isn't real music." Yeah, there's always at Lumina. So I was expecting this was going to be an art show. This is just a bunch of pictures. I can do this with my phone. I talked to this motherfucker for 30 minutes about it. You know, and I was just like I said, if it was a year ago, I might have just said, fuck you and left. But I'm like, I'm wanting to talk to you about it, you know?
Yeah.
And there's no amount of what to do with what you're going to say to this person to change their mind, except for, hey, I know where you can get canvases. Do it your fucking self.
Yeah.
And he said, oh, I'm going to do it. And he fucking sat there and ordered a canvas he's going to put on his wall of some dog he took, you know? And...
Hey, man, you just inspired him.
I inspired him. Hopefully I just shut him the fuck up. Really. That's, you know, because there's no artistic value in a man like that.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, I want to inspire people, but that motherfucker, like, but he'll show up again. He was at Shucks. He was at the Shucks thing. And he was like, I could have done this with my camera.
It's always that shit.
Yeah, and like, but I mean, it's always this way. Like,
Harold was thinking that was like a hip hop thing, like that was a rap thing. It's just art in general.
So far, what I've understood is art. Same thing with fashion. I ran into somebody that does the fashion design for a production or a theater company, and she was like, you know, this isn't it. Well, this is it. This is it. This is it. There's nobody doing this here, and like that's the other thing that I wanna be the person that does it either first or does it the most or whatever here in Asheboro. Because I've definitely pioneered hip hop. I know that.
Yeah.
There's other people that do short films, but I made it a point to do a silent short film, like the beginnings of the culture, the beginnings of the art. You know, that's what I wanted to do. And then, like, it's you know, like you said with Little Dicky, it's ironic that, or coincidental that, all of a sudden all these people start jumping on this. Let's do black and white. Let's do this and let's do that. But you know, there's not many people that do that. And then fashion, I know there's not a fucking person that does that. Of course, I don't fucking sit there and sew the shit on.
Right.
Like, you know, Who does that? Like, who does that? You're gonna be in London or Paris or New York. You're gonna do that.
Right.
Like, who does that? Who does that when the technology is there for you to, you know, to have it and you place it where you want to place it. You know, but it's definitely opened up. You know, opened up the floodgates, like you said.
Yeah.
Are we dead there? Have you switched out or?
Oh, I switched the SD cards
Okay,
out.
got you. Okay. I just want to make sure. What are we looking like on time?
It's 9.